I'll show you a PowerPoint presentation done by a professional so that we can compare their take about stress and how to manage it. Now, essentially, we can say that work stress relates to some of the, especially the nature of the working condition that employees get involved in. Of course, right now, the current situation in the world, people working at home, there is that fear of contracting COVID, and there are employers who have laid off their workers because of business are low, like in hospitality industry, for example. In airline industry, many employers have no choice but to send workers home. So such kind normally brings stress to people. It's a worldwide thing, and you can see there's so much pressure on families, pressure on individuals, how to make ends meet. People having to go without income. There are those who are having to go with half income. Some are not certain whether they'll keep their jobs. And you remember just recently the president stating that 500,000 jobs could be lost by the end of this pandemic. So all those are stressing employees. Now, even before COVID 19 started, their employees or employers were to put up with long working hours. Some of them had to do double work, especially standing in for colleagues who are either on medical leave or maternity leave or have been laid off because companies are downsizing. And also you find that in such cases, you find that there was so much pressure to meet deadlines, very tight deadlines, very limited time, too much work. All those contribute to stress to employees. And of course, you find that because of lean economic times, you find that employers tend to cut on expenses. So you very limited resources, and you have to work long hours and such. So cutting back on expenses sometimes is a challenge. For example, ordinarily you find that there are organizations that struggle even to get printing papers. They struggle to get equipment that can effectively help them perform the job. And of course, there are demands from families. Many employees are the breadwinners for their families. For example, you have to take care of children's school fees. Maybe there are families paying mortgages. They have maybe bank loans. They are servicing those loans. Or maybe there are parents that who are looking up to them. For example, so all those are sources of stress to employees. And of course, sometimes you find that they are unemployed family members. They can't put up with you. They expect you to take care of them and such kind of things. Now, the amazing thing about the COVID is these employers or companies have tried to engage their employees at home. Now they are at home, you also find that there are challenges. You want to work, but their family, their children there, those can add up to the stress. But initially, when people would go to work, remember, people had to put up with traffic jams. Many would wake up early, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., to be on the road to get to work on time. All those contributed to traffic and inflationary pressure also on your money. The money you earn in your pocket at times could not give you the basket of goods you had expected to have initially. So all those bring a source of stress to anyone. Now, of course, since the beginning of the year and mostly from the month of March, you know exactly what's going on. You cannot be able to engage physically. It's a source of stress. Sometimes, like right now, we've been struggling to get online with slow internet, or maybe the system is not working very well. So it's a source of stress, and such kind of things. Now, all these matters contribute to anxiety, sleeplessness, irritability, physical and mental problem. Mhm. So all those issues are there. So you find that how do you deal with them as a manager, for example? Maybe you are leading a team, and you know that your team members are challenged with all these matters. How do you handle it? Now, your position as a manager, how do you deal with such kind of stress? How do you manage to talk to your employees, for example, in order to handle matters that they face? So it's a global thing. It's a challenge that is existing world over. So you find that such anxieties are there. You you find that I'll show you some slides done by a medical practitioner about stress and how it can be detrimental to health of people. So are we together? So let's proceed by looking at a few things related to stress. Now, there are some environmental impacts that normally cause stress to people. For example, since the beginning of the millennium, that is the 2000s, there's high-speed development in technology. ICT, there's so much, we are inundated with all sorts of information, such that you sometimes you wonder where are you going to keep the rest of it. It's too much information all over. TV channels are 1,001. There are internet, YouTube, the social media. All these are information that has come to us, and we have to deal with it. Now, it's what it affects is the loss of privacy. So sometimes you find that our private life is no longer there because you have a social media. People who are watching you, people who are getting in touch with you, information here, information there. Then another thing is you find that this preference to social media rather than face-to-face contacts. Friends you'd rather meet online rather than meet on a face-to-face basis. Then, of course, there are new skills that must be learned because of so much information that is there. New things come about, and the rate at which information become obsolete is very high. So you have one has to update themselves almost continually, and that sometimes can be pressurizing. Like maybe a skill that you knew today, tomorrow you realize that it has been overtaken by a new innovation or something new has come up, and all that needs you. You will need one to learn so that they can be updated. If, for example, a worker fails to upgrade or to up their game in terms of development, then they find themselves behind everyone, and who will want to get an outdated or someone who lacks knowledge or information to do their job. They want somebody who is already updated. Now, what is stress essentially? We can see that stress, in most cases, we look at it from a negative perspective, but sometimes also there are positive stress. So we are also going to look at all that. So I want us to look at the highlight I've placed there. Check on that highlight. is telling us that stress is usually thought to be in negative terms, but of course, it relates to something, but especially when there is sickness, poor work environment, lack of knowledge, pressure, politics, and maybe a stagnating career, and maybe your plans and development are not coming through as you had expected. They will be a form of distress to anyone. But of course, there are some positive or pleasant side of stress. For example, if you're going to start a new job, for example, you are employed as your first management opportunity, is stressful, but there is also excitement that relates to that. So you may be able to, maybe you are getting a scholarship, maybe to learn, for example, to undertake your favorite career opportunity, maybe in some other country. So there is that stress of preparation to get into that, but also there is that excitement of going to something new. So you find that it may not necessarily be all negative. Mm. So I want to give you a few definitions given by several authors here. I think with such we can be well oriented on determining what stress is. This guy called these two people, Matson and Ivansovich. Uh, what can you say about the definition they are giving out there? It doesn't give so much. It doesn't allow us uh, to get more into what they wanted to mean. Uh, but you see that it's how people interact with their environment. Now, so we can critique, or we can be able to critique that opinion given by these guys, and find out how is that causing stress. But there are a few things that we need to note from what they have said. One, look at that green highlight. The green highlight I've placed there. One thing they are talking about is a reaction to a situation or event that is mostly related to environment. So you find that people would tend to react to an event or a situation. For example, recently you saw in some places the people are being evicted. How do you react to a situation like that? Maybe an incident comes in, and how do you handle it? There's also that emphasis that stress can be impacted by individual differences. For example, if you are not able to come to agreement on a particular issue or point, then it can be a source of stress. And of course, that is environmental. Then we talk about excessive psychological or physical demands because of unusual situations. Things that normally happen out of norms, out of what is considered normal, tend to be to cause stress. According to Newman, he says that this is a condition that arises from interaction of people and their jobs, characterized by changes within people and force them to deviate from normal functioning. So take a look at that definition as well, and we can be able to compare it with what Matson and Ivansovich are telling us. So look at that highlight so that you can be able to take a note of it. Conditions and interaction of people and their jobs characterized by changes within people. Now, in summarizing those two groups or schools of thought, you can say that it is an adaptive response to uh, an adaptive response to an external situation that results in physical, psychotical, or behavioral deviation for organizations participants. Now, they tend to relate to organization because mostly uh, the stress that pertains to work environment, that is what most of us tend to focus on, to zero in on what is common to employers, employees in organization situations. Now, in addition to what we have heard about those two definitions and what we can say about them, sometimes it's also good to understand what stress is not. You might be wondering that, we say I'm stressed, but let's look at some of the things which may not be considered stress. Like the first one, stress is not just an anxiety. You may be anxious about something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is stress. So just take a look at it, and we can be able to. So it's not just necessarily being anxious is an indication of stress. Stress can be accompanied by anxiety, but the two may not be equated. For example, like we had already mentioned earlier, that it's a Sunday night, you are looking forward to a Monday, you are going to start your first management job. You may be anxious, or you may be waiting for something so eagerly. You are anxious to get to it, but that does not mean you are stressed. Then also, it's not a nervous tension. Tension may result from stress, but the two are not the same thing. So you can be tense, but that does not mean one is stressed. So that's also, you need to take a note of the same. There may be tension, but that does not mean there is stress. Then lastly, we can talk about it is not something to be avoided or something really, really damaging in the sense of it. There is what we call the eustress. That's a positive stress, something that, of course, it bothers you, but is on the positive side of it. Are we together? Who is not with us? Yes, Mary. Mary, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, good. Now let's look at some causes of job stress. Just before I reveal what is down there, I believe some of you have worked, especially at the practical, at the restaurant. Have you ever been stressed and has someone ever been stressed? I know, for example, the type of profession you are in. Sometimes it involves a lot of stress, especially you have to clear up, you have to set up, you have to conduct the mise en place and everything that relates to it. Sometimes it can be stressful. I believe. Now, what do you think are the causes? Let me hear from everyone. You can type on that public chat so that I can see what you are saying. Helen, is Helen there? Yes, you can type on that. Just one word, two words, and or you can state it. Of course, it's okay. It's allowed. You can unmute and state. What do you think is this a cause of stress? Uh, Let me hear your interactions. Let me hear your interactions, eh?
Okay, as per me,
Uh-huh.
I think overload of work can cause stress.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's a good one. Uh-huh. Yes. Someone else, Catherine. We have their work overload, too much work. Yes, the Ellen is writing too much demand from customers. Yes, if you are inundated with customers, you are so many customers, you cannot be able to handle them well. Sometimes it can be stressful. Yes, that's good, Helen.
Sure.
Yes.
Can you also talk about you're being given a specific time to beat and like the people you're working with are lagging behind? That can also cause stress.
Yes. Tight deadline, and then your team members are not cooperating. You
Yes.
have that is two actually. You have tight deadlines to meet. Then your team, the people you are working with, are not buying what your aspiration are as far as the work is concerned. So that too can be a source of stress. Yes. Uh, Jensera. Someone talking about pressure at work. Yeah. Those are related to completion of deadlines and such like. Someone else can add something there. 1,001 points. Yes, let's look at a few of them that we can be able to add to what we have seen being said there. Now, these ones have been categorized into different four major categories. When we talk about extra organizational stresses, talk about group stresses, organizational stresses, and individual stresses. So we categorize them so that we can be able to determine where the those stresses come from. But some of the sources of stress you have mentioned, we are actually right. So when we talk about extra organizational stresses, what we mean is that it relates to how the organization is been designed to work, or the kind of culture that pertains to that organization can be a source of stress, especially the way jobs are designed, the way activities are done. It can be related, can actually cause stress to people. And they relate to matters to do with societal or technological changes. For example, because of changes that are in environment, they tend to cause stress to people, like what is actually happening today. with the COVID-19. This is actually a natural environment phenomenon. You know, we don't appoint sicknesses to come or diseases to come. It's like an earthquake, or it's like floods or a storm, for example. It's the same as COVID-19, for example. But then with environmental problems, businesses, companies need to adjust, they need to change. So you find that such kind of changes tend to affect people, and they bring stress to individuals. So when we talk of extra organization, there are things that happen in the environment that can lead to stress to people. Globalization, what we mean by this is the world is becoming a small place. There's that pressure to conform to the system, the global system of doing things. Things to do with family issues or crisis, for example, they can strain people, they can stress people. Issues to do with gender, social isolation, race, class, discrimination, and such like. These are issues that can affect or can cause stress to people at workplace. Now, there are matters that some organizations may not be able to really deal with them effectively. They tend to be more of environmental stresses than they are organizational stresses. So they are beyond companies' ability to handle them. They can only cope with such kind of pressure. Like, for example, economic and financial conditions. Let's say interest rates has been raised, or for example, it is more expensive to get bank loans, or maybe the mortgage financiers have increased maybe their rates. So you find that all those things can affect people, and people get stressed as far as these issues are concerned. When it comes to organizational stress, now these are related to what management actually undertakes to do. For example, what are some of the policies? Now, we talk about organizational stressors, we talk about the policies that the organization have put in place. And of course, you find that such stress are related to administration. What are the policies of the company? Like, there are restrictions the company puts to their workers. You can do this, you cannot do that. You might report now, you may not report that. So all those policies are very key. Organizational structure and design. You find that there is that reporting relationship between employees and their managers, for example. That can affect the way, can be stressful. Like, for example, if you want to get something at the top, you have to go through the organization structure, the hierarchy. You have to go through the hierarchy. So there are procedures or bureaucratic management. You find that things have to be done in a certain way. There are, for example, company processes. Like, for you to be able to apply for a leave, you must apply it in a certain way. There must be responsibility, you cannot overlook or you cannot ignore the authority that have been put in place. Sometimes you find that there are places where you're employed there, but there is no clear work job description. So you don't know what you're supposed to do as an employee. You report to work, but no clear job. You report to work and anything goes. You can do anything. You can be sent to the shop. You can be sent to pick the manager's or the CEO's chairs. You can be given any responsibility. So in such places, people don't find it really appealing to work in. Sometimes reporting relationship is not clear. You are not given a supervisor whom to report to, that anybody can order you around. Sometimes it becomes stressful. And then, of course, working condition is one major area of stress, especially if you cannot complain or if there are issues, wrong issues in organization, then there is nowhere to report to. Or maybe there is discrimination, you cannot state your case. Or so you find that working condition, all these are important uh, stressors from the organization. So all those are very important to consider. Now, let's look at group stressors. This is mostly related to how employees relate with one another, or, for example, the personal groups within organization. For example, when members of the organization are not in togetherness, there's lack of cohesiveness, there's lack of teamwork. That people tend to work as individuals rather than as a team. So there is no cooperation between employees or among employees. They tend to work towards towards the harm of each other. In other words, you find that employees find pleasure when one of their members is in trouble. So in such a place, there's a lot of stress. There's lack of teamwork, lack of cohesiveness, lack of one purpose, and such like. Then there are places where there are no social supports. For example, when one gets into problems, then they have their problem to bear on their own. So you find that nobody cares whether you have lost an important relative or not. Nobody cares whether you are in trouble. So that social support sometimes uh, can cause stress to members of the organization. Then also we have what we call intra-individual, interpersonal, and intergroup conflict. Now they tend to such conflicts tend to cause a lot of stress. Intra-individual is that is a conflict within a person. Somebody find that they are not at peace with themselves. They are not maybe the choice of career, maybe the role they are playing. They have not really reconciled to the fact that they are doing that job. So they keep on castigating themselves that, oh, maybe they made a wrong choice, they made a wrong decision. So when one is not at peace with themselves, they tend to get stressed up. Interpersonal conflict is where individuals fight, one employee with another, maybe because of conflict of resources or conflict of positions and such like. They can lead to stress among employees. Then, of course, different groups can also fight, especially when it's about politics, organization politics, that who has got the largest clout, or who is who can be able to have a go with the management, for example. Let's also look at individual stresses, that is, things that are related to individuals. So I believe you have taken note of all that. Lack of group cohesiveness, lack of social support, and the conflicts. So individual stressors. Now, individual stresses mostly relate, or they come from the fact that, or the very person themselves. And they are related to personality of a person. For example, the kind of disposition an individual has. We have different people exhibiting different personality traits, for example, and those will contribute to the level of stress that how stress affects them. So we have two types of persons. We have type A personality person and, of course, type B. So there are characteristic traits of type A personality or type A person. And we are going to look at them so that we may be able to understand how they relate to any stressful situation or uh, any stressful situation. Uh, under type A personality or type A characteristic, we have people who have traits like they are authoritarian in nature. They tend to be rigid. They tend to be spontaneous. The extroverts. Uh, they tend to be ambiguous and anxious and such like. So you find that this person, this kind of a person, this kind of a person is always on the move. They want to do their things very quickly. They they are not always settled. They are not always calm in what they are doing. In other words, they want to complete it very quickly and do something else. They come out to be impatient, and many a times uh, they would hurry people up so that they feel that there is no time to waste. They do their things very quickly, and they have no time to waste. These are people who do not go for leisure. They are obsessed with achieving their objectives. They tend to be aggressive, competitive, and constantly under pressure. So such people can cause stress to themselves because of their nature. They cannot settle down for a good meal because they feel that there is no such time to waste. While you have type B personality, is a person who is leisurely, relaxed, very patient. They are not bothered. They take one activity at a time and they do it at their pace. And they don't have to hurry. They are never in a hurry. And such people are also there. So you find that the profile of a person, in terms of individual profile of a person, can also determine how stressed they will be. So this, taking into consideration these two kinds of people, is very important. I believe even among us, there are those of us who come out to be very impatient. They're always in a hurry. There is no time to waste. They are much more concerned with the work. Then there are also the relaxed, laid back approach guys who will always take one activity at a time and do it at their own pace. And many a times you see that the work does not get finished It will always be there to be done. So such kind of people, they stress differently. Maybe let me hear a suggestion. Jennifer, are you a type A or a type B? Jennifer, are you a type A or a type B? What do you consider yourself? Maybe someone can say, can suggest for you. You're type A or a type B? Yes, let's look at effects of stress. You will judge yourself, whether you are laid back or you are always impatient. Now that is for you to judge, everyone. What do you think are the effects of stress? Yes, the first, I'll show you. I said I'll show you some research done by someone on medical profession. But first of all, some of the effects of stress. First one is physical problem due to stress. That is health problem. For example, reduce immunity. Like those people who are always stressed, they have ulcers. So you find that health problem is a result of people who are always stressed, like immune system problems, cardiovascular system problem, like muscles or the framework, the bone framework, and what have you, normally have problem because of stress. This one, in fact, is very risky. Gastrointestinal system, that is ulcers. Who get ulcers, they must be a group that are always very much stressed. Then also we have psychological problems. These are mostly related to mental ability, like anger, anxiety. When you talk of psychological problems, we talk about people who are always angry, anxious, tense, they are bored, they are nervous. It's a result of stress. So all these have an impact that may be negative as far as we're concerned, and they actually affect the work of individuals. Then, of course, we have behavioral problems related to stress. Like people, there are groups when they are stressed, they overeat. They will eat 2 plates. They can take 5 chapatis and beans and and a quarter chicken all at once. So there are people who show their stressfulness by overindulging. They eat as a way of dealing with that stressful situation. Then, of course, sleeplessness. This is quite common. Someone so stressed they cannot sleep. They cannot go to sleep. They just roll on their beds and wondering about what that issue is. Then there's those who get indulged into like smoking or drinking or drug abuse. So behavioral problems is quite common and can actually be a result of stress. Now, there are certain behaviors that, okay, the results of stress that normally people have at workplace, like people who absent themselves, absenteeism, for example, they miss work, and productivity going down, irritability increases. They don't want to join up with the rest. Their social, they practice now what is called literally, they practice social distance. They distance themselves from their colleagues, Work productivity goes down, absenteeism is common. They practice uh, social isolation. Such kind of things happen to people. Now, how do we cope with stress? Suppose stress is there. Now, how do we deal with it? Some coping strategies is time management. For example, let's coping strategies. For example, in organization, how do you help people cope with stress? Organization itself may have effective job design that design jobs that matches people's qualification, people's career aspirations. Give them jobs that they are happy taking or doing. Ensure that there is dynamism in groups. For example, allow people to freely interact, allow people to express themselves in groups. Then also institute a leadership style that is able to deal with, especially democratic style of leadership style that will encourage people to be innovative, people to be creative, people to be participative. Then also, of course, organization may involve the members in decision making. At some point, encourage your members to take part in maybe committees or in work groups where they can be able to exercise their opportunity to contribute to matters that affect the organization. Then, of course, training and development help to improve on one's skills and abilities. So all those are very important. Then, of course, time management. Time management can be essential. Encourage your team members to effectively manage their time. Design your work in such a way that within the available time, you are going to undertake to do particular tasks so that you are not overwhelmed with many tasks or activities that you cannot be achieved in a limited time. So effective time management contributes to dealing with stress. And then, of course, creating an atmosphere where members are trusted, creating an atmosphere where trust prevails. Of course, when you trust your team members, they get much more confident in doing their jobs and doing their. But where there is a lot of distrust, even members feel that whatever contribution they give may not be appreciated. Then, of course, encourage intergroup interaction, encourage interpersonal interaction so that at times take your team members to team building programs or activities where they can be able to relax and work together and perform activities together. Now, those are activities that we have mentioned. Organization can actually initiate such that we have just mentioned, but there are also remedies that an individual employee can be able to initiate so that they deal with stress themselves. So it's not just the work of the organization or your company to help you handle stress, but you can also work towards handling stress yourself. So approaches that people that have been effective like exercises. Take a run, take a walk, jog, go swimming, go to the gym, go play all sorts of games. Join others in in playing some sports activities that can be able to help deal with stress, for example. Then, of course, have time for relaxation. Don't just work all the time. Have a time where you can relax uh, and maybe you can even meditate. You can read some inspirational book. You can watch some encouraging or motivational film or video, and something that can just take away that stress and from you. And of course, very important, self-control. Avoid overindulgence. So self-control is very important for one's own good as far as managing stress is concerned. Avoid overindulgence on things or stressful issues that will bring stressful. Like for example, if you know your buddies are going for a weekend out drinking, even if you get there with them, measure what you take. Don't just overindulge. So such kind of thing. Self-control is very important in ordering people or preventing people from getting into stressful activities or stressful things. Of course, this one is also very important. Cognitive therapy. That is trying to train your mind. This is very important. Cognitive therapy. That's trying to build your self-confidence, encouraging yourself, self-motivation, controlling your emotions, self-inspiration, believing in yourself, and knowing that you can be able to control the situations around you. In that way, you can take control of your situation and deal with any stressful issues that might come your way. And of course, very important, networking. Join social support groups that can be able to. Don't be a lone ranger. That you are stressed with work and you don't tell anyone. You can be able to build support groups which are trusted co-workers, people who are able to understand you, who are able to listen and build confidence within you. Of course, there are people who put others down, but of course, need to find people who can build your confidence. They can encourage you. They can inspire you. They can see the potential in you, so that when you're in such stressful situation, you can be able to handle it. Share with people who know are supportive. So I believe you have taken notes of that. So networking, cognitive therapy, exercise, relaxation, and self-control, especially as far as behavior is concerned. The indulging behaviors like young people, maybe there's a pressure to hook up, and then you get hooked up, and before long you find yourself in a social mess, and then it brings you stress. You cannot be able to perform effectively because you got yourself into a behavior or a practice that now you are regretting about, and it can be especially relationship. You need to be very careful who you relate with as far as serious relationship is concerned, because many stresses come from there. So you need to be very careful as far as that is concerned. Now, Of course, I think we have mentioned this early on, but still, I want you to take a look at this highlighted in blue. It's also very, very important. Uh, uh, it had already been discussed earlier, but how organizations help employees cope with stress. Yes, how organizations help employees cope with stress. Are we together? So take a look at that one. The first one is attempting to change organizational stresses. You remember policies, you remember organizational structure, reporting relationship, those issues that we had mentioned earlier. So there need to be some changes put in place so that it minimizes stressful situations. Also, we talk about creating a positive work environment. Positive work environment or positive work climate. Very important. Where there is no recrimination, there is no victimization, where people are allowed to express themselves and contribute to or to share their opinions. Give people time for leave, time for activities like leisure, to be with their families, for example. Ensure effective time management. Give employees wellness programs or seminars or activities where they can be able to get out of the work desk, for example. Organization can also have gyms. They can also have sports or activities facilities for where the members can go for sports activities, can get out, maybe games they can play and such like. And then, of course, there must be a work-family balance. Work-family balance, very important. Are we together? Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I had to share with you as far as stress is concerned. But I said I'll give you something done by a professionals as regards stress. I'm just going to look at it briefly. Before we we chew on this one, is there any question related to what we have discussed? Mm-hmm. You see that saying? Are we together? Uh, uh,
Yes, Martin.
yeah. This PowerPoint was done by this lady, Dr. Jacinta. She was trying to look at how stress affects people, especially at workplace. And some of the objectives that she had with that program was what stress was, types of it, how it presents itself, physiology of stress and disease, that is connecting stress to sickness, and stress management. So we are going to look at maybe just a few brief things. We are not going to look at it from the whole of it, but just to see what they are trying to tell us about stress. So we want to look at it from so the objectives that they are trying to tell us relates to that. Some of it we have already discussed, like what is stress. This one we've not looked at types, but stress management we have checked on it, but we'll be able to see a few things related to it. And that commentary or that saying is that it's only the dead ones who are not stressed. It says that stress is equal to pressure being greater than resources. That's how we define stress, that when pressure is greater than the resources, then it leads to a stressful situation. You want certain resources to use to achieve a certain objective, but that the resources are not enough. They are limited supply of the same. So it leads to a stressful situation, and of course can lead to health decline as well as depression. So I told you that this is specifically related to the medical field, how it can cause stress. Types of stress. These are acute stress. This is related to a work pressure, deadline, minor accidents, searching for something misplaced. For example, chronic stress, maybe in the severe form, for example, can last for several days, weeks, even months. For example, things to do impoverishment, broken or stretched families, marriages that are not working, children that are hard to handle, chronic illnesses like maybe diabetes, maybe cancer, failure in life, for example, when one fails to achieve the objective. So they can be cause what is called chronic. Now, chronic and acute are medical terms which are mostly used in medical field, indicating the severeness of stress in that nature. Now, very much related to what we have is stress at workplace. You can see that some of the stresses at workplace can be caused by demands of the job. Maybe the job requires so much to be done as relates to it, and therefore causing stress. Relationship with colleagues, for example, how you relate with your colleagues, to staff members, controlling staff members. For example, if you are a line manager and you have a staff members under you, sometimes they can be stressful dealing or handling these people. You might have your ideas, you might have your objectives, but they're not buying it, Like, for example, you have departments. As here in ZTEC, we have maybe a head of department with like 20, 30, or 40 team members. Now, all those stuff under one head of department, how do you handle them? Sometimes can be stressful. Training your team, sometimes it can be a challenge. Maybe you feel that your team are deficient in certain skills. You want to train them. How do you train them? Handling, is it individual basis? Do you organize a training session for them? Do you take all of them to a workshop? So all those are very important aspects to look at. Excessive work pressure, meeting deadlines, and such like. So you find that all that can be a source of stress in organization. Now, of course, we had mentioned this, that there are different signs of stress that we can be able to see, like for physical, emotional, mental, or behavioral. We had already mentioned this in the script that we discussed earlier, but you can see even from medical field, you can see how stress impact on. Now, these are signs and symptoms which are basically from the medical field. I would look at how. Now, most of the terms indicated there are medical terms, so we may not be really interested in such because we are in the field of academics. Now, we're trying to relate stress and disease. And of course, one of the most common one is hypertension, that is high blood pressure. Of course, you have diabetes, which is an issue that relates to a low level of insulin in the blood. Immunocompromise, we had mentioned this one as well, but now we are looking at them from the doctor's perspective. Poor memory, all these are a result of stress. Loss of appetite, for example. Then eating disorders like overeating or underfeeding. There are issues that relate to stress. We had mentioned this cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular diseases, for example, that is heart disease. That is diseases related to heart or to the blood and what have you. So all those sicknesses can be a result. So you can take a look at that. Now, what is stress management? We had mentioned this and we had looked at a few ways in which we can actually manage stress. But there, I'll post those notes for you so that you can add to what we had discussed earlier in the year. Now, that's how do you handle it? How do you deal with it so that it doesn't have so much impact on one's work? So there are two ways that they have identified in dealing with stress. That is, you deal with the causes of it and also dealing with the effect of it. How do you deal with the causes and how do you handle its effect? I remember in our discussion, we kind of mentioned both ways. So you can find out how do you prevent it from coming, and how do you handle it when it is there. Remember we mentioned time management, effective time management as a way of dealing with it, with the cause. Planning ahead, ensure always you plan your activities. Like in your case, one of the key activities you undertake in your profession is prior plan before you embark on your job, what is called mission plus. Telling us is a very, very essential activity. Then good decision making. Good decision making can help you handle stress. Then you have periodic resolution or take time to take stock of what activities you are doing so that you get to know where are you achieving your objectives or you are going the wrong way. And of course, organize yourself and you'll be effective. So of course, there are time management, make a list, what must be done, what should be done, what you would like to do, cut out time wasting, learn to drop unimportant activities, say no or delegate, set up achievable goals. So those are important aspects that you must be able to put in place. Now, this is very key in your profession as well, that get to know what activities you want to do. Now, this is dealing with the effects of stress. This is where stress has already come in, and now you have to handle it. And that we also mentioned a few of them in our discussion. I'll post to you those so that you can be able to achieve. Like get a hobby, something you like to do that can take away your mind from the stress. Now, we did not mention this prayer. Please, how many of you pray? Caroline, do you pray? Prayer, meditation, very important. Listening to music, soft, good music. Get confident. This is somebody. This is networking with people. Someone who can be able to encourage. We had mentioned this as well. Physical exercise, we did that. Spending quality time with friends and loved ones, very important. Consulting a psychiatrist. This is also a very good way of handling it. For example, you are so stressed, you want somebody to talk to you. Then joining support group, we had also mentioned that. Also, we had mentioned the ways employers can help. This is we had also mentioned this area, organization dealing with stress, allowing control over schedules, balance responsibility and authority, set reasonable limits and timelines, recognize job well done, and such like. We had also mentioned that. These are continuation of dealing with stress problem. These are also continuation of dealing with stress. Now, from here, they are mostly how you can medically manage stress, which we may not necessarily be interested in. These are mostly, but benefits of, I think this is important, benefits of managing stress at workplace. Benefits of managing stress at workplace. Of course, improved outputs. Employees' outputs will always be improved. The attitude towards work will also be improved. They have a positive attitude towards work. Then, of course, their health is improved. There is less absenteeism and less work compensation loss due to less workers' compensation loss due to stress-related problems. So that one you can remember, you can be able to pick it. Health benefits, of course, you know, these are health benefits, which is also good. Decrease stress-related symptoms, decrease anxiety, improve sleep, decrease use of medication, and such like. We had mentioned positive stress or the eustress when we started. You can see positive stress is where it is a motivator. Like, for example, if you lose job in your work, it can motivate you to look for a better one. That can be a positive stress. if you feel that the fact that you're going to be unemployed can drive you towards getting another job or a better job. Now, this is mostly medical. That is a disorder that comes when one is stressed. A disorder that comes as a result of stress, like it is mostly coming up after a major situation, like an accident, an attack, and such like. You find that somebody goes through a period of a lot of discouragement, a lot of irritability in their life, and they feel so much down. And it comes as a result of major issues like accidents, sexual attacks, terrorist attack, hostage situation, or natural disasters. These ones are mostly medical, and of course, these others we have already mentioned them. So that's essentially stress. Are we together? Any questions? Now I'll post to you the script that I had already shared earlier. I'll place it in the portal so that you can check on it. And then, of course, I will add other activities. I've mentioned to you that we are to look at stress and conflict management. So, any question up to that point? Any question up to that point? Monica. Yes.
I have a question out of topic though.
Out of topic?
Yes.
So post it there so that we can all see. Or you
No,
can add.
I just wanted to ask whether concerning the exams,
Yeah.
because we found an email that next students are not supposed to do exams. So I don't know which ones they are. Are they cards or exams, or which ones are they?
No, those exams that were announced are for ZU group, in Zitech University programs. Unajua kuna such kind of programs.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, so they are the ones you remember January, April exams were not done. They did not they have not done those exams,
Yes.
So they are the ones being prepared so that they may undertake them. In case there is any announcement concerning your groups, you'll definitely get to know about it. But the ones that are being planned right now are for the Zetech University group.
Okay. And
Those
what
two are
about
not.
the
What about the CAT?
cards? Yes.
The CAT is also for the ZU group.
Oh.
Yeah, this is for ZU groups. And this is the one that is being done right now, okay?
Yes.
Sha,
Yeah.
Sha,
Yes.
allow me to clarify on the cat.
Uh,
So, Monica, the cat,
Tamjua.
unanisikia? Cat
Nakusikia.
is our due to train them on
Uh-huh.
how they will do the exams.
Uh-huh.
So the cat is like a sample of how the exam will be conducted, so that to orient them on how the exam will be taken. Kwa hivyo watafanya cat timed so that waelewe wakati wa exam itafanyiwa aje, but not for us. For us we'll be continuing with our classes.
Nilikuwa ndani tunafanya kati na tunaanza kumiss.
Hapana, cat ni watu wazedu wafunzwe like vile watafanya exams zao.
Asante class rep.
That's it.
Yes. Any more questions?
Teacher, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it normal for a person to sleep while they have stress? They are stressed.
To sleep. That's
Yeah.
one way of dealing with it. Yeah, because
Okay.
sometimes stress may cause sleeplessness. But
And
as a way of trying to handle it,
mhm.
one can actually cajole themselves, try to sleep as a way of dealing with it.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Now I want to check a few questions here related to stress. Uh, that is a past paper question, okay? Mm, uh, and if any of you has got a question that you want to look at that is related to stress, you can always share with us so that we might be able to look at the same, okay? Now, let me ask you. I wanted us also to look at conflict, conflict management. But I think it might be too much for you now, okay? What do you think? Do you want to
It's
look at
true.
conflict? Uh-huh. What is true? We look at it or it's too much?
It will be too much for us now.
Okay, so I think we look at conflict part of it next time. Or in case there is time, we'll be able to join when it is not the scheduled time. But for now, I'm going to put some activities related to that area on the portal so that you can be able to see them and do them. Later on, not necessarily right now, but later on. Later on, you can be able to handle a discussion, a journal, something related to that, and some questions and some quiz, some self-evaluating quiz. I'll put there. I don't know. Did you do the quizzes and the activities I gave last week? I'm going to check whether you did them. Okay. I take this question. I want you to listen to it. I'm reading it. Take this question that outline 4 circumstances under which an individual employee may contribute to work-related stress. Outline 4 situations. Outline 4 situations or circumstances. Outline 4 situations. Outline 4 situations under which an individual employee may contribute to work-related stress. Yes, can you discuss that question? I've posted it there on the public chat. Can you discuss it? Let's hear your contributions. Let's get your contributions. Let's hear your contributions. You can chat with one another, okay? Hello. You can chat with one another. Eh? Yeah, I can see. You can unmute and chat with one another, okay? I'm out of earshot, okay? I'm out of earshot briefly. 5 minutes, eh?
Contribute.
Kate, can you unmute?
Pigia kelele hapa.
Imagine.
Guys, leo wanasikia
Zima radio then.
ni TV kwenda.
Tunyamaze. Pia ulikuwa unasomea cat.
Ako tu sawa.
Mimi hata sikusumbua. Si usuko hii group ya ZDS. Au kuona wakisema hiyo cat ni zao.
Ati niliona exam.
Si cat bado walisema utakuwa na cat za kutest.
Yeah, actually ya kutest nilifanya.
Pia ulifanya cat?
I have a question. Sasa nataka kutype like for example hizo vitu chama tuna discuss. Mimi nimeshindwa place yenye na press ndo naanza kutype because I've tried so many times na nashinda.
Unaona on your top left.
Yeah.
Kuna kitu kanakani kama ka icon ka mtu. Karibu na jina stress and something. Click hapo utaona watu wote nyako group. Then ukisha click utaona messages, notes, users. Hapo kwa messages click public chat.
Haya yangu public chat.
Umesha click public chat?
Yeah.
Kuna malipoment kwa send message to public chat. Hapo ndo una click, unaandika kitu yote. Alafu ukitaka kutoka, usifinye back ya simu. Finya tu hiyo place yenye umekuja nayo. Ako ka kitu ka juu. Ukifinya hapo kutoka, utatoka kabisa. Ile utatoka kwa session, so itabidi tena uingie kwa session.
So ni press hapo penye public chat.
Unaona sasa ukishaingia kwa public chat, hapo kwa send message utaandika hapo. Seme utype kitu kama anything. Ukishamaliza kutype, utafinya hiyo kitu ya kusend. So ukitaka kutoka kwa public chat, urudi to pale penye tuna screen share, vile na screen share. Unafinya yako ka kitu kanakaa ka tubo hiyo yenye karibu na stress and something penye pameandikwa. Hapo unafinya ukitaka kutoka.
Hiyo yenye naka mtu hilo.
Hiyo ndio unafinya. Usifinye hapa chini kwa buttons za
Okay.
simu. Okay.
Sawa, asante.
Asante. Jensera, leo una swali?
Sasa
Poa sana.
niko na jibu.
Kwa hivyo nikusukume na swali. Ushapitia zile mapepa za Jesma? Ati za Jesma. Zile zenye tulipatiwa hapo za NEC. Ile ya diploma. Zile zenye ziko na page 2 moja.
Hizo nishapitia.
Na umepata answer za kila question?
Hapana.
Sasa nikuulize hizi za human relations zinaenda kukaa za PPM. Niko na swali. Unanisikiza? Explain 2 circumstances under which the job may be a source of stress for an employee. Explain 2 circumstances under which the job may be a source of stress for an employee.
Natia.
Eh?
I have one point. Tusema time. We talk about time. Yeah, maybe you have been told to report at 8, and maybe you are here. So that will cause stress, because you won't be able to reach at the appointed time.
That's true. And maybe we can say overwork, like overload. Given too much work. Poor working condition.
Insecurity.
Job insecurity. You're not given contracts.
Hello. Hi, I've posted another question there. You can also look at it, okay? Right. You can also discuss that. I'm out of earshot. You can discuss it, all right?
Yes.
Lakini just ikuwe na moja
Okay, Natia. I have a question.
Ask.
But it's not about stress. With reference to Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, outline 4 ways in which the manager may meet the safety needs of the employee.
Oh, okay. Safety needs. Okay. Safety needs are like job contracts.
Yeah.
I usually confuse between the security needs and the safety needs.
Confused between the
Security needs and safety needs.
Mm,
There's that one for promotion and delegation of work, and there's also that one for job contracts, both working for. Let me just check. Yeah, I found it.
mhm.
You have said, there's sorry, safety or security. So they are just the same. Safety and security needs. They include health
Mhm.
security. So these needs can be met by giving employees contracts that are permanent, contribute
Mhm.
to national health,
Mhm.
national health medicals, provide
Mhm.
protected care to employees, then provide life insurance cover. Those are safety needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Caroline, that question is for everyone.
Which question?
Explain two circumstances where we see the job may be a source of stress for employees.
The one you have posted.
No, this one that you have posted there.
Or they explain two circumstances under which the job may be a source of stress. Oh yeah, that was the question we were discussing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Mm.
So you are through with your discussion or you still going on, okay?
Yeah.
Bado mnaendelea?
Yeah, with no, we haven't started the discussion that the question you've given us. They highlight 5 organization factors.
Uh-huh.
That is the one we want to discuss now.
All right. Okay. Go on. I'll be out of earshot, all right?
Yeah. Jane Sarah.
Yes.
There's a question which she has given us. Highlight 5 organization factors that may lead to stress among employees.
Natian.
Mm-hmm.
Uliza swali.
Nasema kuna swali yenye Tisha ametuachia. Yeah, highlight 5 organization factors that may lead to stress among employees. We discuss.
Okay, wacha ni type juu sisikii vizuri, mtu anisikia poa.
Monica, Helen, Mary.
Organizational factors.
Mary.
Hello, are you there? Hello. 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 I think we hello. I think we can stop the live chat, but we can connect on the portal so that we undertake the activities that are over there. Right. Nini imefanyika? Hello, Mary. Mary, how are you? Jen. Jen, how are you? You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think I'll just post a few things on the portal so for you access. I've seen your responses on the public portal. I'll pick them, but I'll put activities there for you so that you can check out when you are off this live chat, live connection.
Okay.
Right. Is there any more question?
Okay, out of class.
Yeah.
Are you the one taking us through sales and marketing?
Yes, I do take you through it. So make sure you join Thursday. Is it Thursday?
How many students have you enrolled?
There are many. There are almost 29.
But I tried to search for that class. I'm unable to find it. But I only found the one you are teaching, but you have enrolled 2 students. So I was not even that sure if that is the class.
No, I can see even your group is enrolled there on Thursday at 11.
Then can you send for me a link, please?
I'll send you a link
through the group.
But as long as you can go online on the portal, you'll find the units. The unit is written Sales and Marketing Term 2. Okay?
Yeah, I tried to search Kenya NEC term 2.
No, just search it. Just look for Sales and Marketing Term 2.
Okay.
Yeah, ZBTI, Sales and Marketing for Term 2. You'll
ZBTI.
find. Yeah.
Okay.
Just the list of units on the portal on your side.
Okay.
So I've actually posted quite a number of things on those on the topics.
Okay.
You can access and go through them.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Jensera, is there any question?